Okay, the big one, Universe Mode. I believe that they really need to enhance the single player experience on these WWE games. Universe Mode is huge. It should really be like as good as playing like a Road to WrestleMania or like a special WrestleMania type mode. At the moment, what we're really getting with the Universe Mode is extremely watered down. It's very, very repetitive. What did they do in 2K14? They added something like a rivalry manager, and they sort of harped on about a rivalry manager like this was something major. Like, this really did nothing at all. Hey, it was great, but you should have like a whole heap of other things as well, not just that. You know, buy the whole game just for that. You know, rivalry manager should have just been one of 20 things they should have implemented in Universe Mode that year. But I mean, it was good, but they need to do a lot more than just that per title. Universe Mode, it's really awesome. Really awesome that they actually put it on there. But you got the whole calendar set up, and you got your titles and your brands and all those things. Like, I really praise them for those good things that they actually have put on there. So I guess I've got to do that first and foremost. They have put a lot of, the whole setup's good in that. But in terms of when you actually go to actually play it, it's pretty boring. Gets pretty boring pretty fast. The cutscenes are a big part of it, or I should say, could be a big part of it if they were made, if they were done a lot better. A lot more frequent, had more meaning to them. They basically just took scenes from Story Designer and threw them in there, and they really meant nothing. And the whole mode needs a complete revamp and a complete reboot, because I mean, who wants to keep playing this sort of the same monotonous Universe Mode over and over again? It's really too repetitive. It's not exciting enough by a long shot. If they could add voiceovers to it, that'd be really good. So it really needs to be completely revamped, rebooted, enhanced. It needs to be, to use that term again, it needs to be way more meaty. It's just, there's just really needs to be improved. As I say, some things like voiceovers, more cutscenes, better cutscenes, more exciting things happening, like backstage cutscenes, like with cars and running people down and ambulances and all the carry-on that goes backstage on at WWE. Also, a good thing they could add to Universe Mode are pre-match and post-match interviews, just like you see on the real product. That's something they've never really added into these WWE games, is like having the interviews that you see on TV. Have those interviews in Universe Mode. Maybe your superstar could decide to attack the person who's being interviewed, or things like that. Post-match interviews, just things like that. That's just a couple of ideas. But Universe Mode definitely needs to be revamped, rebooted. As I say, they have a really good platform there. They've got a real good basic setup and platform, but now they just really need to add some excitement, some flair, and something to really enhance that single player mode so it's enjoyable, and so you want to come back and play it over and over. Should be the main part of the game, and they really need to just make it a lot more exciting. And there's a few ideas I have for it anyway. One match type I would like to see in a game which I don't think there's ever been in a game before, is a stretcher match. Now, it wouldn't be that hard to actually make a stretcher match, I don't think. Now you have your guys battling in the ring, and you have a stretcher sitting outside the ring, and you have a mini game to throw your opponent onto the stretcher, and then you'd have to push them past the yellow line up the rampway or whatever. Just have some mini games for that. Yeah, they already do mini games with the things like the Royal Rumble and other various things. So I think this will be very possible to make, quite straightforward to make, and yeah, I think it'd be pretty awesome to have that in the game. Another match type that I have been wanting them to put into a wrestling game since the dawn of time is a hair versus hair match. Again, you know, you just have a regular match, and at the end of the match, again, you just put a mini game on. Guy grabs the clippers, and you just get your head shaved. And another thing that I'd like to see with this is, say if it happened in Universe Mode or whatever, that like the very next week, whatever, when your character comes back on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or whatever the week after, that his hair just hasn't all of a sudden grown back to full length or whatever. Like it takes like, you know, like your hair's like short for like 3 or 4 weeks or whatever, like it takes a whole month for it to grow back, you know. Just those little things, you know, just to make it more like realistic. Yeah, and I reckon that'd be a really cool thing to add to the game. Definitely a hair versus hair match. Okay, as far as the commentary goes, over the years the commentary has always been like, it runs over the top of itself. Like commentators' lines will run over the top of other commentators' lines, and I think the most annoying thing is a lot of the commentating gets cut halfway through a line. Like you'll have like the commentating will be going along as normal, and then some guy will put on like a big move, and all of a sudden that commentary just stops dead in the middle of its line to take over, like, oh, powerbomb, oh, pedigree or whatever, and it just cuts the previous line completely in half. So you got half finished lines and interruptions and lines running over themselves and all that sort of thing. And yeah, if they could really somehow figure a way just to make the commentary more tidy, I guess is the way you might put it, so it's not all over the place and like overlapping and stuff. Just maybe do shorter lines and just have the lines in sequence with the moves that are going on, and just keep the lines shorter maybe so they don't overlap, and you know, into the next line of commentary with the next move or whatever. I think that yeah, if they could just tidy up that whole commentary thing, just so it's sort of more realistic and more fluid, and yeah, so it's not just all over the place and lines, half completed lines and stuff like that. I think that'd help out the game a bit too. Another big part that I'd like to see in WWE 2K16, especially coming up, and all future games really, something they've really neglected to put in the last several years, for the last many years really, is like a good decent backstage fighting area. Now the last decent backstage stuff they had was in the original SmackDown series on the PlayStation 2, and even the PlayStation 1 as well for that matter. But in recent games like WWE 13 and 2K14 and stuff, they just sort of give you like little sections to play in, and like they are like pretty good areas and stuff that they have given us over the past several years, but it needs to be more expanded, and you need to be able to roam wherever you want to within those areas, into locker rooms, into other backstage areas, garages, etc. And the way I believe they need to implement this is when you're fighting up the rampway, that it doesn't just stop. You know, like it could be like it used to be in the earlier SmackDown series. Going way back to those earlier games is when you could just like you just get to that rampway, get to the entrance way, and like a light or an arrow or something lights up, and you just stand on that for a second or whatever, and you just go backstage. So it's like a continuous brawl, and they could do it that way or something like that, just so the fight can continue from the ring up the rampway on the stage, and then you just continue fighting out the back into these areas. They could even use some of the areas they've already had in previous WWE 13 and 2K14 games. You could keep those areas, but make it like instead of just little sectioned areas, have it as one whole big area, and you can go upstairs and go jump in the elevators and go upstairs and stuff. I sort of see why they don't. This has sort of been not put in the game in recent years, because if it's not on, one thing that I've kind of learned from these games is that if it's not on TV, it won't be in the game. So back in the Attitude Era and the early SmackDown games that came out on the PS2, a lot of that stuff was on TV, so hence it was in the game. These days you don't get a lot of backstage stuff like that, so hence it's not in the game. Like whatever's on TV really is in the game, so the product is more PG and a bit more tamed down, and so hence so are the games. But you know, still I'd like to see some backstage continuous fighting, like fighting up the ramp and you just keep going out to a backstage area, go upstairs and have weapons and stuff lying around, and just how they used to do it. Really wouldn't be that hard to do, be very simple to do, and that's what the fans want, and makes the game a lot more fun and enjoyable, especially incorporating that sort of thing into Universe Mode. Make Universe Mode much more enjoyable as well for a start. Just those little simple things like that, which they've really neglected to put in their games, and yeah, that'd be a huge boost for the excitement of the game for sure. Another thing I believe they need to keep up to date with is having a much more current roster. Now, a lot of times you get a game, and I know like the WrestleManias are cut off and all that sort of thing, but like I know that like you get a game and it just doesn't have those updated stars on it. It comes out as DLC, which is cool, but you know, you sort of got to pay through the arse for it. And by the end of it, and you've already paid your money for the game, and then you got all these extra additions to it, and by the end of it, you've ended up paying hundreds of blinking dollars just for not much, really. I believe, and yeah, they just if they could just do their best to. I'm sure they try their hardest on this, and I know they have a cut-off date, but if they could keep their when they do bring out a roster, to make it as current as they possibly can. I believe a good way of doing this. This is an idea I saw a few months ago from someone online. It's a good idea too. You know, just to like have like when superstars become, like, say if they have like a superstar that comes out, like Dean Ambrose comes out in the game, and say like 2 or 3 months later he like changes his whole appearance or changes his attire or gets a new shirt or whatever. Those be things like new shirts and new pants and new gear and stuff should become available, or could become available as like a DLC download, and not something you got to pay through the arse through either, just even maybe free. just to I mean, I'm sure they put some cost on it, but just to just so they could keep updated with the roster and stuff, like when the game comes out and like a few weeks after, like one of the superstars like changes their gear or whatever, they could have those new shirts and stuff available on the PlayStation Store, so you could just download those for, you know, like a few cents or whatever, and just to keep everything updated. And they could just do that throughout the year for that particular game, and yeah, it'll just like keep that superstar updated throughout the whole year, instead of having to wait like to the next game for his new clothes and new shirts, which by then are outdated anyway. So maybe they could keep up to date a bit more with that by having stuff available on the PlayStation Store when a superstar or diva or whatever changes their appearance, even hair, shirt, you know, moves or whatever. You could just maybe purchase them for a few cents, or you know, even maybe for free, you know, just to keep everything current. That'd be a pretty simple way, I believe, to keep everything current as they possibly can. And coming now to the ambulance match. Now, this is just another great match type that they really could put in the game. It'd be such an easy thing to do. You just have your brawling, you just have your ambulance sitting there, and you know, you can brawl on top of the ambulance, throw them into the ambulance, have a mini game, you open up the back doors and throw them into the ambulance. Would not be hard to make or program at all, I believe. Quite straightforward, actually. It would really add to the excitement and depth of these WWE games, because they are, last several years, they've been lacking something just like an ambulance match or a stretcher match, or a hair versus hair match. Some new match types would really boost the series, I believe. And an ambulance match, as I say, be very straightforward to make for them to do it, I believe, and will be a lot of fun. And yeah, they got to make it happen. Now, fighting in the crowd is another huge one. It seems so obvious to me that they should do this. They had something really awesome in SVR 2007 and 2008, and that was a lot of fun. You know, you'd throw your opponent into the corner, barricade, and clothesline them over, and you'd end up fighting with all sorts of weapons and stuff on that wee side section. Now, the only downside really is that it was just that wee side section. But yeah, if they could, but it was still a lot of fun. It was still cool. And if they could somehow extend that, if they could sort of bring back that side section, and but also extend it into the areas of the crowd as well. Seems such an obvious thing to do to me. Maybe it's the PG era, as I say. What you see on TV is usually in the game. But you know, you do get a bit of sort of fighting in the crowd in WWE. So, but anyway, I don't see why they couldn't put this on the game. I really think they should. Things like this will only increase sales, and it's what people want to see. It's what people want to have in the game, and people are just going to buy games like crazy if you start putting things like this in it. Just seems like a really good thing that they should do. So definitely have, you know, heaps of fighting in the crowd, and also when you get to that ramp, it's all cut off and stuff. Like, you should be able to throw people off the actual stage and fight in that wee area. Like, not just throw them and they hit like an imaginary brick wall. Like when you hit that main stage, that entranceway, you should be able to throw them off that ramp, and you should have the option to go backstage as well. As I say, it's not going to be a hard thing for them to include in the game, for them to make, and It'd be so awesome, make the game so much more fun, enhance things like Universe Mode as well. Just all these little things, that they should really look to be putting in these future titles anyway. So yeah, that's something I'd really like to see. Bring fighting in the crowd back. I mean, we all want to see it. Hopefully they do that. Alrighty, weapons. First things first, something they should have done several titles back, is include some different weapons. Now, yes, the weapons they have there are good. The guitar's good, the kendo stick's good, the sledgehammer's good, the canes are good, rubbish tins are good, and all that sort of stuff. Steel chairs and all that. Tables, ladders, whatever. All the ones they currently have are good, they're fine. But maybe they could throw out a couple of the older ones and a couple of the older weapons, and actually bring in some new weapons. Whatever they want to use. They definitely need to be upgraded and bring in some new weapons. Another thing, which I don't know if anyone has mentioned, is an idea I had anyway. With the rubbish bins, like, it's really awesome how you can put those over a person's head and smack them with the cane and that's cool. They're interactive that way. But you know how you can wedge the steel chair into the corner turnbuckle? What you should be able to do, one idea with the trash cans, is if you could also wedge a trash can into the corner turnbuckle, exactly the same way you do a steel chair. So you could wedge that son of a gun into the corner turnbuckle and throw your opponent into the rubbish tin. Just the same as they do on real WWE programming. So that's one way to make the trash can, for example, more interactive, I believe, and just sort of little things like that. That was one idea I had, but just new, and just trying to 2 or 3 new weapons every year or whatever. Just to keep that updated, and if they could do that, just make them a wee bit more interactive as well. Things like being able to wedge more things into the corner turnbuckles, and just being able to do more stuff like that. Okay, and a big one for me, something I believe a lot of fans have been wanting to see for a long time, is another thing I've been waiting for since the dawn of time, is Monday Night Wars, just like a Monday Night Wars showcase or something like that. You keep hoping and thinking it's going to be in every year, but it never is. What else can I say? Been waiting for that since the dawn of time. I'll probably have to wait another half a century until they actually get around to doing it. But again, with this 2K showcase mode that they now have, it'll be absolutely perfect. I know they're doing the Austin one this year, but they really need to make a Monday Night Wars 2K showcase. I know everyone wants it. It'd be awesome. It'd take a lot of work for them to put it together if they did it right. And how awesome would that be? It does need to be done. Just to cover that whole time, how much fun that would be, the WCW roster that they could, that they would have in the game, on the roster side of things would be awesome. You have guys like Luger and Sting and the Steiners and The list goes on and on and on. And yeah, if they could just please get around to putting a Monday Night Wars 2K showcase in. As I say, keep thinking it's going to happen every year. All we've really got in terms of WCW content for WCW fans out there over the years have just been sort of smatterings of superstars. The thing they had on 2K15 was really not even worth buying, and the character models weren't that great, I thought. But it was just having 2 or 3 characters, WCW characters, in a WWE game. It's just sort of pointless, really. And on the WCW side of things, I mean, once they do that showcase, you get a whole heap you get an awesome WCW roster that comes with it. You get all the WCW arenas, which they've never had, and stuff like that. So it'd be totally awesome. Hey, they only have to do it one time. They don't have to do it once. And with the addition of that year's game, whenever they decide to do it, you'd have a whole heap of WCW arenas, awesome WCW roster, and something you could go back and play and enjoy. The Monday Night Wars, wouldn't be easy to put together, but would definitely be possible, and it's something that they've really got to get around to. As I say, you keep hoping it's going to be in every year. It never is, and hopefully they could go back and put that together. Would be awesome. Just to end this video, say this isn't a bash on 2K at all. It's just a list of things that enhancements and improvements that would only improve the game, I believe. If I could at least put in some of these ideas, things that fans have wanted to see for years. So it's not a bash on 2K at all. I really do praise them for all the good things they have put in the game. Like the game, looks great. It looks realistic with the stage and the setup, and they've great things like the Hell in a Cell matches and the ladder matches and all these things. You got to praise them for all the good things they have done. And one of the things I really liked in 2K15 was the new addition of when you're going for a pin, that you crawl over and go for the pin. That crawl maneuver they used. If they could just add more things like that to the game. I know they only have a year or whatever. It's like a year between games. That they have a very small time frame, which I'd be pretty awesome if they could have a couple of years or something to. I know the demand is so high, but if they could have more time to actually put these games out, they might be able to put more things in. I mean, they have such a small time frame to put all these things in, so you can sort of understand why they can't always get the job done fully. So even when the game does come out, sometimes there's sort of glitches and patches and stuff like that. Maybe they need to take a couple of years and just take some time to make a really good focused game every couple of years maybe. That way they could come out with something a bit more completed and a bit more fully finished. But yeah, this isn't a knock on 2K at all, as I say, or any of the WWE games. They've put a lot of good things in over the years, but just a few omissions that I believe would really enhance the game and make it a hell of a lot better. So cheers and thanks for watching.